Boys and girls, we are here on the College Football Nightcap once again. I'm your host, as always, Lucas Hill. We have a lot to break down. Shout out my alum, by the way, the Central Wildcats. Proud alumnus of them back in 2022 is headed to the state championship game. Guys, what a way to start off a great weekend. We have a lot to talk about. We got to talk about everything that's going on with Championship Friday. Had some great games go on. A lot of tight ball games. Some great showings that we got on both sides in the state championships as well as so. Guys, we're in for a fun little evening. So, guys, here's the thing. Let's go ahead. If you are listening on YouTube, if you are listening on X, if you're listening on Instagram, do me a favor. Shoot me some questions. If you have anything you want to talk about, hit the Nightcap hotline. 601-980-1621. We appreciate you guys' consideration and you guys' continued support for us here on the College Football Nightcap. It's been quite a day so far. It's definitely been a day that has really just I never would have expected. I literally just got off of work about 30 minutes ago. And guys, we got off to a great start. My alum is headed to the state championship game. I am very excited for the future there. It's awesome. I am a proud alum of Central High School. I've always been a proud alum, and I'm going to continue to be a proud alum and represent my school to the best of my ability, as I'm very grateful for that school. Absolutely beyond grateful. Really appreciate everything that people are doing to help support us as we continue our growth here on the College Football Nightcap as well. Guys, let's go ahead and let's get into our conversation today. Let's first talk about when I look at this game with J-State in Western Kentucky, I knew that it was going to be a tight one. I knew that J-State was going to come in with a vengeance. I knew that they felt like they left a lot of points on the table. I knew that they felt like they left a lot of missed opportunities. And you knew that they were about to come back with a vengeance. You knew that at the end of the day, this was going to be a great, great ball game. And guys, at the end of the day, you knew what was about to happen. You knew what to expect with a team like Jacksonville State and Rich Rodriguez. Guys, Tyler Huff once again turns up in the biggest moments of his career. Comes up with over 300 yards of total offense and 3 scores. Trey Stewart, have a day. He's done this time in and time out. 27 carries, 201 yards. My MVP of the CUSA title game. The defense showed up, got to Caden Veltkamp 2 times. Veltkamp didn't turn the football over, but he also struggled a lot through the air. He struggled to get a lot going through the air. Wasn't as consistent as you would like to have seen him. Wasn't the type of guy that you wanted to see. And look, that Western Kentucky defense got gashed right up the middle. That's what it was all about for J-State, and that's what they needed to happen. And so you can't help but give credit to that team and what they were able to do to shut down that Western Kentucky offense that looked like it was about to get hot at the end of the year. Guys, that was impressive from what I saw. So, as we get closer to the end of the season, there's a lot to think about as we just reflect on what was a great season this year. Really was. I mean, absolutely an unbelievable year. You can't ask for a better season than what we got to see today. J-State came out and dominated this football game. From start to finish, you knew it was over with. And they continue to dominate. That's why they're going to be considered one of the most dominant teams going into the G5. J-State, I believe, is going to finish out with 10 wins. I think they're heading out to the Liberty Bowl. I don't know where they'll head out to. Yeah, they'll either end up in the Cure Bowl or the Boca Raton Bowl. So if they end up in the Cure Bowl, they'll end up in Orlando. And I believe this year they'll end up playing somebody. They'll end up against somebody from the ACC. So probably, or they'll end up in the Boca Raton, which will be an interesting ball game. Let's go on to our American Championship. We'll recap that. Army absolutely dominated Tulane. Army absolutely destroyed the Green Wave. Guys, they absolutely had no answer for what this Green Wave offense could bring. Or the Green Wave had no option, no real considerable answer for the option game of Army. Kane Udo and Bryson Daly both combining for 270 yards to go along with 5 touchdowns. Bryson Daly finishes it with, I believe, 126 yards. So, guys, I mean, this has been an unbelievable season for what we got to see from Army. What a season that they've had. 11-1 with the lone loss being to Notre Dame, and although it was a pretty bad one, how about that for Army coming into the CUSA and absolutely dominating this year with the strength of that offense and what they've been able to do. I'm really impressed with what that offense brings to the table. I know that it can be a bit more innovative, I guess, but I mean, they were just stifling all around. It was a struggling day for Darian Mensah. Had a pick early on in the game, and I think got sacked as well. He was under duress a lot during the football game. They had 2 turnovers that really killed him. Rayshawn Pleasant turned the football over. Mario Williams had another big game. You can't help but have respect for what he did. So, I mean, Mekhi Hughes was kind of most of the day. But again, what a great season from Army. What a day that they had. And I can't help but wonder what could have been for Tulane, even if they would have won last week against Memphis. Going on Boise State and UNLV. This was a game that was won by Boise State initially at the start of the football game. What a turnaround game from Ashton Jeanty after going into that football game against the same UNLV defense. And he was held to 33 carries, 128 yards, only averaging 3 yards a carry, arguably his worst game of the season. We're talking about of the season, ladies and gentlemen. And I think that's what's so remarkable with a guy like that is that with a guy like Ashton Jeanty, he's running the football 312 times. And he ran for 2,200 yards this year, which is impressive. Very, very impressive. Cannot understated enough about how impressive his season was this year. He absolutely deserves everything at the end of the year, whether it be the Heisman, whether it be anything else, guys. Really impressive performance by Ashton Jeanty as he continues to build his Heisman resume before we get into the official ceremony at the end of the year. I know Cam Ward, Dylan Gabriel, as well as Jeanty and Travis Hunter will be in New York for the ceremony. Definitely was a great, great game that we got to see. So, guys, let me just say, if you want to be a part of the show, just hop on into our link right here, and we will definitely get to you pretty soon. I'm going to go ahead and post in my chat as well on Twitter. But yeah, guys, I mean, join up if you want to. Absolutely. We'd love to have you on soon. Really, really excited. So it's definitely been quite a year for him. Definitely been a wild ride. So it's definitely been quite a year for him. All right. Gonna take a quick break. Be right back. Ain't no way. Hey y'all, they talked shit. They talked shit. Be seeing y'all in the dog. Gonna be seeing what's up. What's good, Cole? There's no way, yo. I'm fucking screwed. All right, let me get to some comments. My boy Reed Cooper. What's up, Lucas? What's up, Reed? Don't know if you're still watching or not. But good stuff, brother. Good to see you. Always a pleasure, guys. But no, I was literally just taken away by a pregame match, a shouting match, I say, with some of my old alums, coaches, and Neville High School. I was like, bro, hold up. Ain't no way that these dudes really just went up. These coaches from Neville going up with these coaches from Central, bro, they're clashing together. I was like, there is no shot that was real. But I mean, it's been a wild ride for that team. Cannot be more proud of my alum and cannot be proud of what these dudes have done. Absolutely love every single one of my former coaches that are still on that squad. I mean, it's just that's what it is, bro. I mean, it's just really unbelievable to see what just has transformed with that football team and what is transformed with the entire community as a whole and how they've been able to transform and really come behind this football team. All right. So let's talk about the situation out at Oklahoma State. Guys, here's the thing. Mike Gundy started the year at 3-0. Here's the thing. When you talk about a team like Oklahoma State and the history that they have and what they've been able to do, that when you look at what you have in this locker room, when I look at Oklahoma State at the end of the year, so just the ending of what happened to Oklahoma State and the absolute embarrassment of where the program was. Guys, I have a lot of respect for Mike Gundy. He's been there for over 20 years. Guys, he's done an unbelievable job ever since he took over for a guy like Les Miles. And what he's been able to do. Guys, we're talking about a reigning coach of the year in the Big 12. a reigning coach of the year, a team that was not supposed to do a whole lot in 2023, and they make it back to the Big 12 title. Beat Oklahoma at Bedlam. Literally had a lot to do with what you had going on during this year. Really impressive with what we had going on. So here is the thing with a team like Oklahoma State. Do I respect Mike Gundy? Absolutely. But there's no way that you could stick around after how that rest of that year went. Start 3-0. You knew that there was going to be problems after that South Dakota State game, as well as what you did against Arkansas. It was a struggle right afterwards. Lost a tough one to Utah. Then you get blown out by K-State, and you get blown out the rest of the year. Had an opportunity to beat BYU at Lavelle Edwards. Had an opportunity to beat Baylor. Got into a shoot at Boone Pickens against Texas Tech. Guys, at the end of the year, though, I mean, this was just a disaster for my Gundy squad, and it ended with a disaster and a 52-0 embarrassment over the Colorado Buffaloes. I mean, that was just embarrassing. And I think really all of this started back in the Big 12 title when they got blown out by Texas. And I would even go further back to last year's loss to UCF. I mean, you knew there were cracks beginning to appear. I could even go further back to what happened in 2022. You start the year off 5-0, and then you absolutely collapse. You lose 6 of your final 8. You get blown out by K-State. You lose in double OT to TCU. The great run that they had. You lose in Bedlam against an Oklahoma team you really shouldn't have lost. And then you drop your last 2 games against West Virginia and Wisconsin. So there's still a lot of question that needs to be answered for him. And so am I worried about what's to expect for the future over at Oklahoma State? You dang right I am. You are dang right I am. You are absolutely correct. If you're an Oklahoma State fan, you need to be worried about what you're getting yourself into. You had a great run with Spencer Sanders and company in 2021. But look, you were a few inches away from participating in the college football playoff. That close. But you couldn't get it done at the end of the day. And I think that is what this team has been about throughout the majority of the season. It's been embarrassing, to say the least. It's been embarrassing to see what type of team this could have been. Hey, I mean, you knew what was going to happen. I mean, how can you be this stupid and not realize that your team is going downhill? Absolutely going downhill with what's going on right now in Boone. So at this point, Mike Gundy, if you want to save your job, brother, you're going to have to take a pay cut. And I don't care that you don't want to. You can't help it. You cannot do anything other than that. Guys, if you want to be able to get yourself in a position where you can be successful, hell, this might be the thing that Mike Gundy has to do. You just might have to do so. So, Apparently, we're getting sources from Scott Wright of the Oklahoman that it would appear that the rumors of Mike Gundy's demise have been greatly exaggerated. Our sources suggest discussions are heading in a positive direction towards a resolution to keep Gundy coaching the Cowboys. So, guys, I have no idea. But I don't know if it's them against the against the booster club and the athletic department. I think it's against him and the fans. I really do. So if you're wanting to be able to continue the trend of what you've been able to do, I don't know. This is ultimately what has happened. This is ultimately what we've had going on. So I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the year. It seems like it's too good to be true, knowing that there hasn't been any sort of resolution from from the staff and Mike Gundy. But from what I've seen and from what I've seen on the field, it's going to have to be a lot so that everything can get worked out. I wish nothing but the best for Gundy. I think he's a heck of a coach. I think he is a great motivator. I think he's a very intelligent coach. He's a heck of a soundbite. But at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for your program. Whether or not you end up in that same position of playing with Mike Gundy next year, guys, I don't know. I have no clue right now. We'll just have to see as the season eventually goes on, and we'll see what happens whenever we get closer and closer towards the off season. And once we get into January, when we finally have resolutions for both parties. All right, let's talk some more around the world of college football. Guys, big news coming out of Houston just now. Slade Nagel will be the new offensive coordinator for the University of Houston. Slade Nagel, because this was reported yesterday. Nagel was the former tight ends coach with LSU, as well as the former tight ends coach with Tulane, as well as the offensive coordinator for a season that eventually went into an interim head coach for a game, I should say. He would eventually go on and now is at Houston with Willie Fritz and company. They've got a lot of work to do on offense, but I know about Willie Fritz and I know what he has going on. Drop your picks for tomorrow's games. I'm trying to place a parlay from Trace Gisbert. I'll be honest with you, dude. Oh, you kind of took me for a curveball there. I'll say this. I have all the belief in the world. Let's start off with SEC championship game. Give me Georgia, but give the under. The over-under is 50.5. It's going to hit the under. And give me the Georgia money line. They're plus 2.5 right now. I believe in the Dogs. I think they're hitting their stride right now on offense. I think that this is a team that I think can really succeed once they get into a groove. I think they have all the opportunity in the world to get closer and closer to hitting their stride and hitting their opportunities of what they have whenever they get into a position to really consider themselves as an elite offense. Because if you remember the first half of the season, it was kind of mediocre at best. And that's when they hit a real roadblock with Carson Beck struggling early on. The offensive line was hurt most of the time. And then when you got into that game after Tennessee, that's when the offense really started clicking. So I'm going to, first off, to answer your question, give me the Georgia money line and the under in that one. Iowa State, Arizona State, that one might hit the over. Just knowing what both of these offenses have done the last couple of games of the season. I know the last 4 actually for Iowa State and Cincinnati. I know that one was a 53.5 spread. That ended up barely missing the under, hitting the under in that one. Iowa State and Utah, that ended up hitting the over. And then Kansas State and Iowa State barely hitting the under in that one. It was 51.5. 50.5 for Iowa State and Kansas. And then right now, they sit at I'm trying to look for the money line right now as we speak for you. The money line is 50.5. Arizona State, a 1.5 point favorite going into that one. But I would hit the under on that one. It's going to be tight. I mean, absolutely. I mean, dude, this is going to be just like that, dude. I mean, that's how tight it's going to be with that football game. I think that Iowa State's offense, as good as it is, I think Rocco Beck has been a fairly good quarterback, but dude, he struggled with his passing accuracy last week against Kansas State, bro. That's what concerns me most. I think the last 2 games he struggled with his accuracy. I don't know if I really trust this Iowa State offense to get off to a good groove. I think they really relied heavily on their defense, and I think that's won them a lot of games throughout this year. So give me the Sun Devils and give me the money line on them as well. Penn State, Oregon, dude, I'm probably going to screw this one up. Money line's 50.5, but give me the under in that one. I think Penn State's defense is going to make this a ball game, but I think Oregon's got way too much firepower with Dylan Gabriel and company at the helm. And then SMU and Clemson, 2.5 point favorite is SMU. The over-under is 55.5. Thing about it is, can Clemson's defense keep themselves in it? Clemson really hasn't played an elite offense this year. You could say Louisville was one, but Louisville kind of fell off at the end of the year. Louisville really didn't get a whole lot done on the offensive side of the ball. After that Stanford game, that's when you knew Louisville was pretty much out of the ACC race. I think the offense for SMU is just too good. I think they're hitting their stride well. Give me the SMU money line as well as the over in this football game. I think that this does end up being a 30-something ball game. As good as SMU is, and I think as good as what they've been able to do. I mean, that's going to be really, really tight down the stretch of this ball game. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what you have in store for this football team. Penn State in an upset. Dude, I'll tell you what, if Penn State's defense can make this a ball game, if they can get pressure on Dylan Gabriel, and if their offense can dominate time of possession, because let's just be honest, as good as Drew LR is, he's just really not the type of quarterback that I would want leading a team going into a top 5 battle. But anything can happen in this football game, so it's going to be really, really interesting to see what they decide to do with this team. So it was still, I would bet the money line for Oregon as well as the over in that football game. So that's my Picks for this weekend. That's my money line for the weekend. But hey, do what you would like to do. Do whatever you would do as you please. Once again, I am not a gambling expert. I am not anything of that sort. So any information that you may have, I am not the expert. So bet at your own risk is what I will tell you. It will be a fun game at the end of it all. Oh, wow. Taylor Sharp's in there. Hey, shout out the boys over at 1045 ESPN. What's up, Taylor? Good to see you, dude. Didn't know you tuned into the live show, but hey, good to see you, bro. Good to see you as usual. Let's get in some more college football. Let's see what else we got to talk about. Guys, we may be entering a new era of college football. So I don't know if you guys saw the latest posts over at On3, because On3 has been breaking news in college football for God knows how long at this point. It feels like forever. So Kansas's quarterback Jalen Daniels has agreed to a new deal to stay with the team for the 2025 season, according to ESPN. So now we're entering the era where athletes are being paid more to stay longer in college. Guys, Jalen Daniels has been getting an absolute bag to play college football. It has been absolutely insane to see what they've been able to do. It has been absolutely asinine to me what is going on with now dudes are being asked to reach over the table and provide a package for them so that they can get the deals that they want so that they can be able to stay at that respective school before they get their bag in the NFL. So it's not about who is going to get where you are at in the draft. It's about how much money is being offered to you through these NIL packages on your way to potentially stay at your respective school. Look, Jalen Daniels has become a household name in Kansas ever since he first stepped on campus, and ever since he first came into the spotlight in 2022. Guys, Jalen Daniels was a dog through the first 9 games of 2022. Really had a great showing to start off and was preseason and player of the year. Guys, Jalen Daniels had a struggled this year. Really did. And it was a really, really rough time for that team. Really, really rough time. But what Jalen Daniels has done to restore the hope for this team, obviously 22 was a great year for them going to a bowl game. Last year, they finished in the top 25. This year was kind of a disappointing, but once again, it's hard to replace a guy like Andy Koltenick, and just ultimately having to replace guys like that. You bring in another defensive coordinator in DK McDonald from Philadelphia to bring a different look to you, and obviously that one hurt too. I think everything went to crap for Kansas after that Illinois game. And I feel like that's when the wheels really fell off the train tracks. But guys, look at their losses this year. I mean, holy cow. They haven't lost the cupcakes, I'll tell you that. This might be the most interesting stretch I've ever seen in college football. You lose to an Illinois team that ended up finishing number 21 in the nation. You end up losing to a UNLV team that finished a game short of playing for a college football playoff. You lost to a West Virginia team that looked good at some points during the season, but could never get it together on the offensive side of the ball and on defense, that could never play a complete game. TCU's 8-4, unbeknownst to a lot of people. Arizona State, they finished with 10 wins. They'll probably be playing for a college football playoff. Kansas State was in contention for a CFP. Baylor finishing 8-4 on the season. What a year that they had after the 2-4 start they had on the season, and then finishing off with 6 consecutive wins. And then Kansas has that run where they beat Iowa State, beat BYU, beat Colorado. It was an interesting run for that team, but at the end of the day, you can't help but just know that this team is still going to go strong at the end of the year, and know that this team is going to have everything and the pieces they need to put together in order to build a successful roster in the 2025 season. They just have to dominate the recruiting trail, and they got to dominate the portal. Guys, it's going to wrap it up for us here on the College Football Nightcap. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Turn on the bell notifications, and if you're watching on X, thank you all for giving us a follow, giving us any sort of positivity that we've been looking for. And we will see you guys all next time on the Nightcap.